Testing, testing. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Morristown Township Board of Education. It is called to order. This meeting is called in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act with adequate notice provided as follows. Notice filed with the Courier Post on July 1st, 2021. Notice filed with the Burlington County Times on July 1st, 2021. Can I please have a moment of silence? Thank you. Could we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. James, could we please have a roll call vote? A roll call?
Dr. Alberti.
Here.
Mr. Fairchild.
Here.
Mrs. Mullen. Dr. Snyder.
Here.
Mr. Villanueva. Mr. Weeks. Mr. Weinstein.
Present.
Ms. Romano. Mrs. Shaw.
Here.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. We already went into an executive session and returned to public. We are now moving on to approval of minutes for the following meetings. August 17, 2021 executive session, August 17, 2021 regular meeting, September 14, 2021 executive session, September 14, 2021 special meeting, September 28th, 2021 executive session and special meeting, September 29, 2021 executive session and special meeting. Can I please have a motion? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any noes, abstentions? Okay, and I abstain from September 14th, both. Okay, does you got that, James? Thanks. Any board members have any communications to share? Anyone? Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are about 6 weeks into the school year and all is going smoothly despite the challenging times that we are facing. Thank you to the whole school community for helping manage through these difficult times. I also want to say a big thank you to Dr. Fitz for coming in as interim superintendent and jumping right in to ensure a smooth beginning of the school year, especially during these challenging times. Over the past 4 months, the board's most important work has been to focus on the permanent superintendent search. And I want to thank our whole school community for their willingness to be involved in the process of determining the desired characteristics of the next superintendent. This has helped guide HYA, our search firm, in screening candidates and has helped the board in our interview process. There were 41 applicants and a slate of 10 candidates were picked by HYA to present to us. We narrowed it down to 6 and then 4. And I have to say, I've been involved in superintendent searches before, and there were many, many strong candidates in our application pool, many more than I've seen in past. We do have a finalist, and over the past few weeks, we have been working out the details. The finalist contract and information had to go to the executive county superintendent for approval. And we couldn't say anything about the finalist until we received approval from the county. Thankfully, this morning, we were hoping it for last week, but thankfully this morning we did receive approval. That is why we have included an addendum to approve the contract, which was sent out to the community via communication this afternoon. I will speak more to this once we come to that part of the agenda. And additionally, we did have to add another addendum to tonight's agenda to approve pay rates for bus drivers. As many of you know, there is a crisis going on in New Jersey and in the country regarding bus driver shortages. So these were both critical areas we felt necessary to include in tonight's agenda. A big thank you to James Heiser for his extensive work on both of these areas. So it's been a crazy month for you. So we appreciate all of, probably more than a month, but here. We really appreciate all your extensive work in these areas. I also want to extend a thanks to our board attorney, John Comegno, who has helped us through this, and to my fellow board members in the many, many hours we have all put in and thoughtful discussions we've had, especially during the superintendent search process. So I will now, I'm finished for now. I will actually turn it over. Unfortunately, the student reps don't have a seat at the table, so I apologize to all of you. We will have that corrected, and you are also not on the agenda. We will have that corrected next month. So I apologize for that, but we still would love to have you come up and give your reports. So we will let, I guess, Claire, are you the senior? The senior rep, wow. If you want to start and then introduce everyone after you. Hopefully that mic works.
No is the answer. Okay. Alrighty. Hi, everybody. My name is Claire Hurin, and I am the senior class liaison. And I am here to talk about a couple different topics this month. Right now, we are having our Spirit Week, which is super fun. Today was Team Tuesday, and Peyton will talk more about that. And this Friday is our pep rally. So I did design the senior flag. I've done it every year, and this is my last year, so it had to be good. We asked seniors for input in t-shirt ideas. Each grade always, or the seniors design their own t-shirts, and then the underclassmen have similar shirts. We changed it up this year, but after voting, we landed on a card theme. And I actually am really good friends with a magician. So I consider just like painting his face on the flag with a couple cards, call it a day. But instead, I decided to make it kind of like an evil Joker Jester theme for the seniors, kind of mix it up a little bit. So if Friday night you do see a bunch of kids running around Morristown dressed in black with Joker makeup on, don't be alarmed. They're heading home from pep rally. And on Friday, we will have a day pep rally after morning classes. And then at 5:30, we will have a twilight pep rally with some more competitions and our senior entrance. Usually our pep rally is later, but that's because we're inside. So in order to like accommodate for, the sun setting and it'll be a little colder at night, we're moving it up a little bit earlier this year. Yeah, both pep rallies will be held outside to accommodate for COVID protocols. And I'm really glad that our pep rally will be essentially normal. This year we usually do a tricycle relay race, but now we're doing it around the track. So that's going to be like super funny. And I'm really excited for that. There's going to be 8 people instead of 1. That's my favorite event each year. So it should go well. My student council members and I have been working really hard, filling out the list, getting everybody signed up, and wish the seniors luck for Friday because we might need it. And after Spirit Week concludes, the school has a chance to breathe, and the seniors get to bask in the glory of our victory. Mr. Seibel is going to organize a school attire committee and ask for representative from students, faculty, and student council members. There was some talk earlier this year about changing up the school dress code, and that was the whole thing. So Mr. Seibel is listening to our statements and questions, and then he is organizing the school attire committee. So we'll have representatives from like different groups, and we will meet after Spirit Week concludes. And then coming up in November is our Veterans Day Assembly. So last year we filmed a video and like interviewed a couple veterans, but this year we're trying to bring it a little bit more back to normal. So we will have the veterans live in the gym, and then we're going to live stream it to the students in their classrooms. So they'll be watching in their homerooms, and invites are going out on Monday to veterans in the community and family members of staff and students. The guest speaker is an Army chaplain who served for 25 years. So it'll be nice to hear from him and hear any wisdom and nice words. And student council and advisors will plan and facilitate this assembly. It's always one of the highlights of the year. Usually the madrigals and the band are involved. So I'm really excited to see how it goes this year. Handing it off to Peyton.
Thank you, Claire. Good evening. I'm Peyton Emmel. I'm the junior class representative. So I'm going to talk about decorations and competitions. So in preparation for Spirit Week and Pep Rally, each grade has been really hard at work decorating their assigned areas. The seniors have a beautiful glass hallway decorated with nice big black posters, which have phrases and quotes to really make the seniors excited. And yeah, so I can't speak for the rest of the classes, but I know for the juniors, we spelled out juniors using all the last names of the classes. We allowed classmates to sign the poster, so it's in their own handwriting. We also spelled out 2023 using pictures from past school years in alignment with the theme of Quaker legacy. So the juniors did a really good job with our decorations. So for competitions, we have daily dress up competitions. So Monday was America Monday, where students just had to wear red, white, and blue and show off their patriotism. Today we had Team Tuesday. You would get double points if you wore Quakers, but if you wore a jersey or any other sports team that you like, you would get a point. Today, after school, we also had Minute to Win It games. So students competed in short games to give them points to their overall score for Pep Rally. Tomorrow we have Holiday Wednesday. So students pick a holiday and dress accordingly, no matter what they want to do. Thanksgiving, if you want, Halloween, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Christmas, etc. So Thursday, we will have a Throwback Thursday. I know that seniors want to do like a neon theme, but all the other classes can pick whatever decade they want to do and dress up accordingly. After school Thursday, we will have a Kahoot with trivia questions on Morristown facts, and that will also go to total points for Pep Rally. And Friday, we will have Pep Rally, which Claire just spoke on, and each grade will wear their shirts. And if they didn't order a shirt, they will just wear their class color. So it's white for freshmen, gray for sophomore, yellow for juniors, and black for seniors. All right, I'm passing it off.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bhavika Verma, the sophomore class liaison, and I'll be talking a little bit about the homecoming dance that was on Saturday. And so the homecoming dance, there was a great turnout. About 600 tickets were sold on Thursday, and many more were sold on Friday afternoons as kind of a last minute dive to get tickets because, tickets weren't sold at the door. And there was a great turnout. That was about half the school. And I was actually really excited because for the freshmen and for the sophomores, it was our first homecoming dance of high school because unfortunately we couldn't have one last year due to COVID. And the excitement for the homecoming dance, oh my gosh, it was built up for weeks, myself included. All the girls were talking about dresses and going dress shopping. And it was just a great to return to almost normalcy and just going dress shopping. And the excitement was just built up for weeks. And so the actual day of homecoming, which was Saturday, the students and the staff came in on the morning to help set up. We had to set up tables, chairs, and since the theme was actually autumn nights, we had these little pumpkin decorations, these streamers, and we had this, my favorite decoration. I really thought it was cool. It was these big balloons that formed a great archway that was outside of the MAC gym, and we had to cover the bleachers and all the tablecloths. We had to lay out food and water. That was actually my friend's favorite part who I went with. She was obsessed with all the food. There's so much stuff there. And so in terms of the actual dance, it was absolutely amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better first dance. I walked in and I kind of saw the rough draft of the MAC gym while I was decorating. And when I came in, I was just shocked. And it was an oh my gosh moment for me because all the lights were dimmed. There was this great music playing and the whole gym was just filled. People were dancing, they were eating, they were just having a great time. And so there's actually another one of my favorite decorations again. The decorating was just absolutely amazing. And it was actually kind of weird to see this MAC gym that I go to every day all of a sudden transformed into this beautiful location for homecoming. It was a great moment. It was actually these two fairy lights and they were connected on the volleyball poles. I mean, who could have thought to do that? That was just a great idea. So the actual dance, again, it was absolutely amazing. And I couldn't be more grateful to the staff and all of the student council advisors and everyone who had to clean up after. It was just a lot of work goes into putting these dances. And it's awesome because I know so many other districts aren't even putting on homecoming dances or even Spirit Week. And to think that I'm fortunate enough to have a Spirit Week, again, Peyton went out through all of these events and a homecoming. I would just really like to thank all of the staff and all of the student council advisors that helped put everything on because I was tired from just decorating the MAC gym and I can't even imagine what goes into planning a whole Spirit Week and homecoming. So yeah, thank you to all the staff.
Hi, my name is Yvette and I'm the freshman representative. And I'm here to talk to you today about the canned food drive. So the canned food drive is one of our other Spirit Week competitions. And every day this week, students can donate their respective canned food items and drop them off in a bin in the main lobby of the high school. And each grade has their own items. Freshmen are bringing in mashed potatoes, sophomores have stuffing, juniors have canned veggies, and seniors have cranberry sauce. Points are earned for each grade based on the number of cans in the bin. These food items go to creating the 70+ food baskets that the high school delivers to needy families in Morristown. We take pride in our ability to collect these food items and help our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our student representatives. As I always say, this is the highlight of the night a lot of the time. So we love hearing from you. If you do have to go home, I know you probably have homework and other things to do, so feel free to leave at any point if you want, or feel free to stay, but I want to give you the option because I know it's probably a busy night for you. So thank you again. So we are moving on to the superintendent's monthly report.
Yes,
So Dr. Fitz, I will turn it over to you.
thank you very much. I'm pleased to make this report. I want to make this report about students tonight. We are very fortunate to have an extraordinary population of students attending our schools. They're in full participation of the academic program that we have prepared for them. I get a chance to visit the schools, walk the hallways, talk to students, meet students, as well as staff. I found the students to be respectful, responsible, and they are fully engaged in the learning process. They are well disciplined. I'm spending my time to make sure that we are focusing on the wellness and the health of students and staff. We are monitoring everything that's taking place in our district to ensure that the place is safe for staff and students. We are continuing to follow the guidelines of CDC. And I'm open to receive suggestions from you because many of our parents work in the healthcare area. And some of our parents are researchers, so they are reading journals and periodicals, and they're attending webinars. And so I asked them to share that knowledge with me so that I can share with the executive team to ensure that we're on top of our game here on making our schools safe and healthy. In my wandering around the district, I get a chance to see and observe some things. Well, this is what I wandered upon the other day. I was here in the middle school, and one of the teachers said, "Come see my room." I says, "No, it might be interpreted that I'm observing." So I says, "No, I prefer not to come to your room." She says, "Come, come, come." So I broke my rule. I went in. I saw an amazing room. It was child-centered for emotionally distressed kids. I could take a vacation in that room. But this is what I learned about her. And you're going to learn more about her at next month's meeting. Susan Marlowe is a special needs school teacher here at the middle school. She has been recognized by the National Center for Learning Disabilities by winning the Everyday Champion Award. This award recognizes the heroic and outstanding achievements made during COVID-19 pandemic, honoring courageous and innovative educators and administrators. There's more to know about her because the board will have to accept $5,000 as a part of this award that she will allocate to the school. I want to say to you that we have some remarkable teachers here, incredible teachers. And I just enjoy finding out about all the wonderful things that they are doing and what they're doing for children. We're fortunate to have great children. We're blessed to have a great staff. And I'm really, really appreciative of the fine parents that we have in the district. My report.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Fitz. I believe we have also breakfast Rotary backpack
Yes, I have, is Rotary
project.
here?
Is Rotary here?
Good. Well, you come forward. I have this great award for you. It was enough, I could keep it in my.
Do you
Okay.
wanna move to the mic, maybe?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Okay. This is really an honor to meet these two guys here. I've had a chance to meet them at Rotary, but I've heard of their fine work that they've been doing for decades around here, okay? And children have been the recipient of their work, is that they donate backpacks to our kids, stocked with supplies and materials. We're just grateful to have them as a partner in our community to work with us and to work with the children. On behalf of the Board of Education and all of us, I have these great pins. You've probably been getting one per year, right? But we are very serious about the contribution that you make to our school district, and we hope that you will continue to work with us, and we're grateful and we're very thankful and most appreciative for the fine work that you do for us.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you so much. It's great to have Rotary give this to our students for many years. So thank you again for everything you do for our students. Next up, I believe we have retirement recognition. Carol, is that correct?
This is Linda Reed, everybody. She has been with us since 1998. And acted as a paraprofessional in our district at South Valley Elementary. She has worked as a one-on-one aide in a classroom, lunch and recess paraprofessional. She is a staff member that has come early and stays late. She's helped to become a sub teacher whenever called upon. We value Linda's service to our district, students, administration, and parents. She is definitely a team player, and we wish her all the best. We have a signed plaque for you. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Carol, I know we have Jane on the list as well, but I believe she's not here tonight. Okay. Okay, no, that's fine. No worries. And I know that the next presentation was supposed to be for the remote learning plan presentation. However, Dr. Benton had an emergency. So she is not going to be here to be able to provide that. I do believe it will be posted on the website. Is that correct, James? Okay. And hopefully she will be here next month to actually present it. But unfortunately, she had an emergency. So she was not able to attend tonight. So sure. Yeah, she was actually my kid's bus driver for a bunch of years, and I know her well, and she's great. So
Karen, the remote learning plan is also in the exhibits online as well. If anybody wants to-
okay, it is on the exhibits online, the remote learning plan, so you can see that probably through that. And then tomorrow it will be put on the website, and then hopefully Dr. Benton will be back next month to review that. So we are on to board committee reports. Let's start with David. Do you want to start with F&O?
Thank you. So F&O actually met twice in short succession, last Thursday and then again on Monday, yesterday. So at the first meeting on the 14th, there was Karen Shaw, Mick Weeks, Mark Villanueva, Carol Butler, and James Heiser in attendance. We approved the field trips that you'll see on the agenda for tonight for, I believe, Model Congress and for doesn't matter, two of them, wrestling. Thank you, wrestling. And then we had a long discussion about transportation. The discussion about transportation went into the various issues that went into the driver shortages that we've been having within the district. They range from a variety of issues, from people actually being absent due to sickness, the inability to hire new drivers, retirements. There's just been a slew of various actions that have happened, not just in our district, but everywhere. And the week of disruption was just a culmination of all those things coming together at one time. From our discussions, what we came to realize, and from additional discussions that Mr. Heiser had with our existing bus drivers and in transportation, is that our pay scale is well below most of the other districts in the area, as well as other private drivers, which has been inhibiting our ability to recruit. With the inability to recruit and people leaving, we're left with shortage of drivers as well as shortage of substitute bus drivers when those drivers do have to call out sick. So we looked at that, which is on the agenda tonight. That's one of the addendums, is going to be a discussion about, we looked at the pay scale, what we could do to increase the pay scale, as well as benefits that we could add that seemed very reasonable, such as adding a vision to the benefits they have. We thought that vision benefits make a lot of sense, given that you want your bus drivers to have the best vision possible. So we add that as a benefit that would be available to them. And that was the extent of our meeting on the 14th. On the 18th, because we met again, and at that one, we had Mr. Heiser, Ms. Butler, Dr. Fitz, Jeff Airy, Mark Villanueva, Mick Weeks, and Karen Shaw, and myself. And one of the things that we discussed there was just how are we going to pay for these additional costs? Budgets are closed. Once the budget has been adopted, we have to find other areas within the existing budget to pay for additional expenses that are unanticipated that we incur. So we took a look, and James was able to find savings, or actually I should say reallocation of dollars from within the existing transportation budget by delaying some of the purchases that we had anticipated doing, by reducing some of the supply purchasing, by some of additional breakage that we had received within the contract itself over the time, because we had some supervisor leave and the new supervisor's salary was lower. So we were able to get some breakage from that. We have a joint share that we entered into with Delanco that was not anticipated, which provided additional revenue to the district that we were able to use, as well as some other breakage and removing some of the additional purchases that were nice to haves, because this was more of a must have for us. We need to have transportation and bus drivers. And the other thing that we discussed was taking a look at, getting cameras on all of our buses as well. One of the other things that we've come to realize through some of the HIBs and other things that we've had is that there's unfortunately things happening on the bus, sometimes with the students, sometimes it's with the driver, sometimes it's just something completely unrelated. There's an accident, something happens. And those cameras are very helpful, and they're on about half of our buses. We thought that while we're looking at this, we should look at putting cameras in all the remaining buses that make sense to do so. And we are going to add that to our lease purchase. We had some additional lease purchase savings that went through this year when we bought our additional lease purchase allocation. So we're going to use that money that we didn't allocate to buy some additional cameras for the buses. That'll be spread over 5 years. And so it's a nominal cost. It's about $20,000 spread over 5 years. We thought it's a good thing to add to the rest of the buses that don't have them. We had a discussion about food service. There's been discussions. People come to various board members over the past couple months about the difference in the food service that they've been seeing with their students. So we had a discussion about ways to improve the food service, things that could make the food service better, quality, quantity more than anything else, and availability. So we're having those discussions with NutriServe to make sure that the students receive the best quality and availability that they can, because that's what they should be receiving. And then finally, we discussed the refunding of our bond. We just finished up a bond refunding, saved over $600,000 in total savings over the remaining life of the bond. It equals to about 8%. Now, that is over the remaining life of the bond. About, I think the weighted average life that was left was about 5 years. So, it's a decent amount of savings over the next several years. It's good to reduce our debt service when we can, just like you do when you refinance at home for your home mortgage. That's what we're doing. We're refinancing our debt to reduce our interest expense. So we did well there, and there should be great credit to both you as the taxpayers who support us, but also to James. Our credit rating is very good, and it helps to get us good interest rates. So thank you all. That's the end of our report.
Yes, I'm just wondering if F&O has started to discuss or feels they need to discuss an issue just with the inflation in general we're seeing, and then also kind of piggybacking on that, as I've been seeing in the news, a lot of issues with supply. If we anticipate being impacted by the supply shortages that, seem to be across the country and, just price inflation in general.
So actually, we did have a brief discussion about that as well. Because that was one of the questions, was one of the places that we actually were receiving some savings
Oh, okay.
was on the service side, not on what we pay for the gas itself, but we had a reduction in the amount of cost that we anticipated for the service, the delivery charge. So that was some of the breakage we were able to come up with. So that's good news. As far as the fluctuation in actual gas prices, just like everybody else, as they go up and down, just like we do with the rest of our utilities, there is additional money still within our transportation budget. We didn't use all of the buffer to do this with the bus drivers, what was being proposed tonight. There's still additional buffer in there for fluctuation in gas prices. Now, obviously, if there's a massive spike, none of us would have anticipated that back when we adopted the budget last year, but we did leave buffer still within that particular portion of the budget for that if it should occur.
So I'll say my kids weren't impacted by the buses directly, but I know, lots of communication happening about it. James, was there any kind of like retro, hey, now that it's, we've got through last week, like what could have been done differently, what worked really well, and just like to cycle and process that?
Yeah, so on that, at the back end of last year, I believe it was in the month of June, I personally met with all the drivers at that point in time. One of the things that we discussed creating at that point in time was ultimately a drivers committee, a group of 3 to 5 bus drivers that I can meet with monthly to kind of discuss some of the things that they're seeing on a day-to-day basis. In terms of, retro, the request for the approval on this is to make it effective yesterday, 10/18, in terms of the pay rates. But moving forward, I think, that monthly meeting will be definitely a proactive approach to have those types of discussions, for sure.
Magic phones. Yep. So we actually met on September 23rd. So quite a few number of weeks ago. It was Karen Benton, Sandra Alberti, McWeeks, Lauren Romano, myself, Jeff Airy, and Roseth Rodriguez and Julie Kobe came. Karen, we started talking about the initial staff professional development before the school year even started. Just at this time, this was just after that. And sort of the theme of cultural responsiveness that is trying to be infused in all PD, not just specific to that topic, but sort of having that as a piece and as a way to talk about lots of things. But in the PD before the school year started, they had a number of speakers that spoke to that. They got to speak about social emotional needs and growth of students as they start the year, how to infuse that in the classroom, small group committees. The other thing we talked about was what the presentation would have been tonight, which is the need for a ratified and voted on plan to what virtual instruction will look like if 3 successive days are mandated to be out of school. And at that point, we didn't talk about specifics because it hadn't been developed. So without speaking to what wasn't in the meeting, but just that we would need to do that by October 29th, and that it would outline just that. Just what would virtual school look like if we were forced to close for any number of reasons. And as is widely accepted, this isn't necessarily a COVID thing per se. This could be something about just like routinely has to be in the plan and has to be ratified every year in the event of whatever. The next thing we talked about was the change in graduation requirements. So 2022 isn't changed. So students who are graduating in 2022 will have the same graduation requirements as the previous couple of years. But we're pretty mindful that starting in 2023, the graduation requirements will change. And without my own personal 2 cents, I will just say that we're very mindful of that change and what that will mean for all of our students and how to best facilitate them and sort of their matriculation as they want to leave Morristown. We talked about the state assessments that students have now taken, but had not yet taken when we talked about it, the MAP testing and the Start Strong assessments. They're both mostly completed. I know MAP, they have a few more students, if not, they may have already just finished them. But at that point, it was yet to be taken. We talked about Spanish 4 and 5 are adopting new textbooks, each with a focus on literature and literacy within the curriculum. So Spanish 4, there's one open resource and then one textbook dealing with more of an anthology cultural understanding of literature. And then the Spanish 5 text has 2 textbooks, each with more inclusive writing and writers and writing. And again, that sort of more holistic approach that Roseth was looking for. We finally then talked about sort of how the grade 4 and 5 math was going. So again, just to kind of recap, grade 4 and 5 does not have advanced or accelerated math, and sort of the changes and how they were going as of that date. So one of the things that she talked about was there was specific professional development prior to the school year to help the teachers sort of build these low floor, high ceiling math exercises in some routinized basis. So how every chapter, and that's the goal, and sort of how we can sort of facilitate that throughout the entire year. So obviously that's something that she will be coming and talking to us routinely about to see how that's going. The other piece is the push in of enrichment math. And this is the thing that's really exciting is originally it was speculated that she would only be able to find time for these teachers to push in, once every 15 or 20 days, but it's actually going to work out that they'll be able to do 1 per 8-day cycle in the school, because obviously UES uses an 8-day cycle. So once every 8 days, one of the enrichment math teachers comes in and sort of facilitates a unique math lesson that is specifically designed for the whole class, but to really push and focus on things like, being able to communicate with mathematical notation, which is really hard and challenging and indicative of overall math achievement. And a lot of other things that might not be able to be focused on except by these sort of things. Those teachers are also going to be doing math support, which is different than sort of the traditional math support that's facilitated in A&A. But again, since these are new, and this is something that's new to 4th and 5th grade this year, we were excited to hear about this in a sequential way. So we're going to hopefully hear from her often about how this is going. And but so far, so good.
Okay, Jack, do you want to go ahead with policy?
I'll go ahead because Jack wasn't there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, do you want to do it? Okay. Didn't we talk about? No? Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
That's what
I didn't know.
That's okay. I'm just grabbing the mic. So our meeting was October 3rd. In attendance was Dr. Benton, Dr. Fitz, James Heiser, Dr. Snyder, and myself. The 3 things on the agenda was a dress code policy update, and Dr. Benton gave an update on the high school process for presenting an update and a revised dress code draft to the board at some point. This process is going to include a variety of stakeholders, examining the language and making sure that the wording of the dress code is gender neutral, and taking a look at what are the violation consequences. Once this is established, Dr. Bennett is going to have the WAMs and UES follow a similar process. We also discussed, following up from a comment from last month's board meeting, we had initial discussion about putting our district regulations on the website, and it would be a nominal annual fee of $100. So that was something for the policy committee to continue to look at, discuss, and then bring forward. So we'll look to do that at the upcoming meeting. We also talked about policy 1990. We agreed that with the potential to add new support affiliated organizations, reviewing the district policy and practice was a good idea at the moment. We were going to be gathering more information about past practices and checking about notes from last year's policy committee as far as some of the proposed modifications prior to COVID that were already kind of in the works. So we'll be looking to add that to the committee agenda for the upcoming meeting. And then lastly, we did look at policy 2425. And as Dr. Snyder already stated in curriculum, we looked at it in policy briefly as it was required for district action. We were still waiting for more of the details that were needed in the policy, but the committee did recommend to adopt as it was part of our requirements.
Thanks, Lauren. Anyone have questions? No. I will, I took over as chair of communications committee for the interim. And I wanted to, I'll give a brief report, and basically both meetings. One was August 25th, where we met, the communications committee met with Lori Perlow. So it was myself, Dr. Fitz, Sandra Alberti, Mick Weeks. We met with Lori Perlow, is a public information officer with Haddon Township School District Communications Consortium. And basically she handles all facets of school communications, including branding, communication planning, crisis communication, media relations, public relations, website design support. And the consortium is basically a shared service. There are many other districts that don't have dedicated communications people on staff. That it's a consortium. And basically for many years, we have tried to get a communications role. I feel like every year I bring it up, and it just one of those things that keep getting cut from the budget. So some districts do have a communications person as part of their administrative team, or half a person. However, due to budget cuts, this typically is one of those positions that always gets cut. So I believe during the pandemic, we really saw firsthand how beneficial this communication person could be to our district. And thanks to Dr. Fitz, he actually brought Lori Perlow's name to us, to the communications committee. And we met with her. We really liked her. The communications committee then recommended to the finance and operations committee that we go forward with joining the consortium. The cost was $5,000 a year, and you get about 1 day a month of services. She didn't seem very strict on that, not specifically for 1 day. So both committees agreed this would be a valuable service to our district. So even in the time being, reviewing our policies, going back to our strategic plan, which one of the goals in our strategic plan is communications, and a lot of those action items have not been touched. And that to us, and that was the follow-up meeting we had on September 29th. Lori wasn't involved, but we wanted to talk about some of the things that we would have her first look at. And those were some of the things, like, we have a lot of the work has been done in our strategic plan, but it's the implementation and how can she evaluate where we are in communications and really have someone who is skilled at this help with this. So that the communications consortium agreement is on the agenda to approve tonight. So that was basically what we discussed in the communications, both committee meetings that we had. Any questions on communications? Nope. Sandra, do you have an update on it?
So for the ad hoc committee exploring race and racism in Morristown, we had a meeting on September 28th, and in attendance was Karen Shaw, Lauren Romano, myself, Dr. Benton, Dr. Fitz, and Carol Butler. And the purpose of that meeting was to regroup. We have new people, Dr. Fitz and Dr. Benton both weren't here during our work last year. And we wanted to, from a leadership perspective, kind of fill them in on the great amount of hours and commitment that lots of folks in the community and the school district have made over the last year. And part of our thinking ending last year was what we could do to inform a district strategic plan in advance of bringing on a permanent successor superintendent. And so our plan in kind of updating them on all the subcommittees and the goals and learning targets for each of those committees was, one, to reflect on the impact of what has happened since. What kinds of targets did we set out? What have we hit with summer hiring and the like? What have we done in curriculum, professional learning going forward? And so Dr. Fitz and Carol Butler and Dr. Benton are working on collecting sort of an internal district audit of sorts. We are reconvening this upcoming Tuesday to talk about all of that data. And our plan is then to create a report of sorts to engage stakeholders in the community around that report so that we can use all of that data from what we've collected and where our shortcomings are, I'll say, to inform the development of a strategic plan for equity and inclusion in the district that we will then be able to present and share to the board with community and stakeholder engagement so that we have that with the input of a new chief school administrator. So that's where we are with that now. Any questions or additions? Thank you.
Great, thanks, Sandra. Do we have any off-board committee reports? Sure.
Oh, there you go. So I did sit on the speak meeting on the 30th of September. And the only thing I just want to make sure is that people know that speak exists and that their next meeting is 10/28, which is next Thursday at 6 p.m. It's virtual, so you find the link. They are looking for reps and volunteers at the different schools and buildings. And I just was at the very beginning and I just want, that's what they said. So I will make sure that everybody hears that, and please log on next Thursday at 6 if you have any interest in participating in Speak going forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Any others? I did also just wanted to, the Morristown Education Foundation, the MEF, had their big golf fundraiser last week, and it was a big success. We didn't have as many golfers as we typically have, but given the fact that it's COVID and everything, typically I think we have about 72 golfers. We had about 60 something, but we still made a good profit. I want to say about $50,000 the foundation made, and all of that goes back to teacher grants. We give mini grants under $5,000 and then some larger grants, which the larger grants are things like the Innovation Lab at WAMS. It was an MEF grant, the video production equipment. So MEF is really a great supporter of our schools. So I was happy to be there and help out with the foundation. Dr. Fitz was there also, and there's been enough, and Mr. Comegno and Carol. So there was a bunch of our teams, and John is a big supporter of the foundation as well, and he is the MC of our auction. So he does a great job with that. But anyway, and MEF, of course, is always looking for volunteers. I said this the last time. It's a great way to get involved in the community as part of the foundation, which really supports the schools in a different way. So we're always looking for volunteers to join MEF. And that is it for MEF. Any other? I think we're good on off-board committees. Okay. So we are going into public comment. So I'd like to have a motion to open the floor for public comment. Thank you. Second? Thank you. All in favor? Great. So this is going to be public comment only on agenda items. So we will have another public comment on non-agenda items at the end of the meeting. So this is for agenda items only. So if you'd like to speak, please come to the mic. Please state your name and address. You have 3 minutes to speak. As you know, this isn't necessarily a question and answer period, and it's always best to follow up with an email afterwards. So whoever is ready to speak, feel free to come up.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you to the administration, Dr. Fitz, the Board of Ed, for allowing me to comment tonight. My name is Dawn Miller. My address is 301 Springhouse Lane. It is my understanding that you will be voting on whether MTPS staff unvaccinated for COVID should be tested twice weekly. The governor, in his executive order, has allowed for testing once weekly. Before you cast your final votes for this decision, I have several questions for you to ponder. After 13 months of being back in the classroom, dutifully wearing masks, why are we testing now when we are no longer in a state of emergency? Will our district recognize robust and long-lasting natural immunity? Why are we testing asymptomatic unvaccinated staff when it has been proven that vaccinated people can contract and spread COVID? What makes the unvaccinated any different than the vaccinated? If the vaccine simply reduces the symptoms of COVID, Aren't vaccinated staff more likely to be asymptomatic carriers of COVID? What is the logic for twice weekly testing versus once weekly testing? For how long does the district intend to test? What are the metrics used to determine when testing will no longer be needed? Carrie Mullis, inventor of the PCR test, said that the test was never meant to tell you if you are sick. In other words, it was not created for asymptomatic testing. A Johns Hopkins study found that the PCR test produces a 20 to 66% false negative rate, depending on the test's timing. Twice weekly administration of an inaccurate test will cause unnecessary mental and financial stress on our valued staff. There are many valid reasons for someone to decline this vaccination. The vaccines are experimental. The only FDA-approved vaccine is Comirnaty, and it is not yet available. Medical exemptions are available for people who cannot tolerate vaccination. One example are people suffering from a multitude of autoimmune diseases which prevent antibodies from developing, making vaccination pointless. Religious exemptions are available for people with a deep personal religious objection to vaccination. Have we had ongoing or recurring outbreaks among staff, or is this twice weekly testing punishment for declining the vaccination? Medicine is not one size fits all. Are we going to choose to discriminate for a false sense of safety? This is an opportunity to show compassion and understanding. While I completely disagree with asymptomatic testing, I am asking the Board of Ed to reduce the required staff testing to once per week and to provide us with a metric for the ending of the testing entirely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just as a quick follow-up to that, the policy is 164813. It is on for second reading tonight. It was on at our last board meeting for first reading. The policy does state 1 to 2 times and is in line with the Executive Order 253. Our plan as of right now is to test once a week and allow for the second time in the event that there are issues related to the first test. So that is the game plan right now.
Hi, my name is Dawn Lusner, 19 Windermere Drive. I'm also going to talk about the school vaccine requirements, but in a different way. I consider myself to be a reasonable person. I like things that make sense, that are fair. I named my son Justin. You guys might know him. Some of you, my friends, my neighbors. He's at Penn State right now studying entrepreneurship. But things feel normal there. But I need to speak out when things aren't making sense. And that's why I'm here tonight. Last time I was in this room to talk in front of a Board of Ed meeting, I did talk virtually on one of the online ones, but last time I was in this room, I was here to talk about the lice policy, if anybody remembers that back in the day. So I was kind of saying, like, you should send the kids home for having lice because my daughter got lice 4 times that year and it was just spreading and spreading. And the answer to that was no, we are not sending kids home because we don't want to segregate them or make them feel weird or point them out or make them feel different. So I'm kind of likening to that things that are happening now. I'm here to talk about a different public health policy, which are the mandates. And I'm asking you to look at the big picture in all of this and see what we have to gain from these policies and what we have to lose. I know you didn't make the policies, you're all following orders, following direction. But one of the things that is powerful is, you know, we the people, and I feel called to come up and talk about this. Specifically, when you mandate a vaccine, what are you gaining? Are you gaining immunity or the ability to stop the virus? No. Are you gaining the guarantee that you won't get sick or die? No. Can you guarantee that you won't stop, that you can stop wearing a mask? No. We're all here wearing a mask. Does it help your health? Maybe, yeah. And it should be about health, and that's it. It should not be about coercion and force and losing jobs and things of that nature. This should only be about health. As we see in the world today, police, nurses, airlines, other employees losing their jobs, walking out of their jobs, being fired, choosing different paths because they are having to stand up to these mandates that are being forced upon them. So what are we getting taken away? We're getting taken away rights, freedoms, and dignity. So yes, segregation is happening, discrimination is happening. We say we hate those topics, but yet, and we teach our children about them, but yet we are here watching it happen. We're sitting here watching it happen. Last night, I watched the More Unity present the candidates, the BOE, with me, the candidates, and they talked about teaching history to make sure we don't repeat history. Are we making sure we don't repeat history right now? Is segregation happening? Do you see segregation happening? I do. And, you know, I said in a letter back to some of you guys when we were discussing mask mandates and like the unvaxxed kids not, you know, wearing a mask and the vaxxed kids not having to wear a mask, I expressed my concern back then with the segregation. And I likened it to things that are happening, that were happening in history, Nazi Germany. I know some of you didn't like that analogy, but that is truly how I feel. Show me your papers. You're asking our employees, our school teachers, to show their papers or say if they're vaccinated or prove that they're vaccinated or get tested each week. For some of the reasons Dawn just mentioned, why? Please look at the big picture. I am specifically here for one teacher, Mr. Lundy. He reached out to some parents that emailed him, I was one of them, that he made an announcement in school. He teaches in high school. He's entrepreneurship. He's personal finance. He's my son's favorite teacher. He was my daughter's favorite teacher. He's many of our other kids' favorite teacher.
Thank you, Dawn. If you could try to wrap up.
He announced that he'd be being put on leave because he's unable.
And excuse me for interrupting.
Yeah.
There's no personnel item involving that teacher on the agenda. I would also caution you, and we respect your First Amendment right to come and be heard, but I want to caution you about making personnel comments in public. All right?
Okay, I have his permission. I have his permission because this is something very important that he is choosing to stand up for, and I support him. So I stand with Mr. Lundy, and I stand against segregation and discrimination and losing valuable teachers, especially ones that provide cultural diversity. So please look at the big picture in this. When you guys are making your plans for the future, it needs to start here. We are not going to get, you know, from the top down in this state anyway. You might have to move to Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, Texas to get these tyrannical mandates lifted. But what can we do here in New Jersey to not lose our good staff?
Thank you, Dawn. Anyone else? Thank you. I'd like a motion to close public comment, please. Thank you. Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you. Moving on to the reports to the board, we have the business administrator, board secretary. 1, the financial report to the board secretary, 2, cafeteria report, 3, approval of budget transfers, 4, approval of bills. Can I please have a motion to approve items 1 through 4? Thank you. Second. Thank you. Any questions or comments? No. All in favor? Aye. Any noes, abstentions? Any other abstentions? Okay. Moving on to recommendations of the superintendent, the 2021-2022 remote learning plan. So I recommend the board approve the 2021-2022 remote learning plan as per the attached exhibit. Can I please have a motion? Thank you. Second. Any questions? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes, abstentions? Okay. Moving on to policies and procedures, first reading, second reading, and I recommend that the board enter and adopt on first reading and second reading the policies and regulations listed above. Can I please have a motion to approve items 1 and 2? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes, abstentions?
I articulated my thinking on the vaccination policy at the last meeting, which I won't repeat. My concerns have only gotten realized, I think, as we talked about earlier. And so I abstained with respect to 1648-13 last time, but I'm going to vote no for second reading.
Is it possible to, just to make it clear, so it doesn't matter. Procedurally, I think we should probably go back and redo or undo what we did to have that vote on separately. It just makes more sense procedurally. I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just trying to make it easier for
I'm
his
not sure what
notes.
you mean.
Typically, voting no on one of 6 should be done separately. It's just a procedural thing. That's all. I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just trying to pull it apart. We just went really fast through that.
Yes, I am. I think we've done that with other items as well, so I'm fine with that. Is that okay? Okay. Everyone else is yes? No other abstentions? Okay, we're good. Under educational program, 1, the Burlington County Alternative School Placement for 2021-2022, home instruction for 2021-2022, 3, special education out of district placement 2021-22. Can I please have a motion to approve items 1 through 3? Sandra, second. Thanks, Mick. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes, abstentions? Great. Moving on to finance and business. 1, we have travel expenditures approval request. 2, approval of state contract and consortium vendor purchases. 3, donations. 4, non-resident tuition students, 2021-2022. 5, overnight student trips. 6, student field trips. 7, joint transportation agreement. 8, exchange student sponsoring agency approval. 9, non-public affirmation of consultants. 10, middle school and high school athletics schedules, winter 2021. 11, comprehensive maintenance plan. 12, 2022 American Red Rescue Plan Act, Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act, grant application. 13 is the Communications Consortium Shared Services Agreement that I spoke about earlier. Can I please have a motion to approve items 1 through 13? Thanks. Thank you. Any questions or comments on any of the items? No. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any noes, abstentions? Nope. Moving on to employee relations. 1, we have appointments. 2, change of position / hours, taking off those 2 that we talked about, and executive under transportation. 3, movement on the salary guide. 4, leaves of absence. 5, resignations. 6, retirement. 7, curriculum. 8, substitutes. 9, athletics, co-curricular clubs, taking off number 23 that we discussed in executive.
This should also include the addendum number 10 salary adjustment, 2294.
Okay, so we will include number 10 salary adjustment on that. Do we want to do the 1 through 10 all together then? Is that,
As long as the board's comfortable.
Okay.
group it together.
is everyone okay grouping it together? Okay, great. Can I have a motion to approve 1 to 10?
So moved, David.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
any questions, comments?
I just wanted to do number 10. the adjustment.
Yes,
Correct.
yes,
So
correct.
the adjustment, I'll turn it, sorry. Number 10 is the adjustments to the bus driver's salary guide, just sort of understands what that was that we
Yes.
had on.
Thank you, David. So that is what we talked about earlier, the addendum that we put on. That's why we're adding it to this. This is the bus driver salary adjustment piece. So that is items 1 through 10. Did we have a second? Okay. Roll call. Oh, we need a roll call. Okay, we need a roll call.
Dr. Alberti.
Yes.
Mr. Fairchild. Yes. Mrs. Mullen. Dr. Snyder. Yes. Mr. Villanueva. Mr. Weeks. Mr. Weinstein.
Yes.
Ms. Romano. Ms. Shaw.
Yes.
Thank you.
I know. This is probably what everyone's been waiting for. First, we are going to do the approval of the contract for the superintendent of schools. A resolution is requested approving the contract for Michael Volpe as superintendent of schools as approved by the Department of Education. Second, we do this together. That's fine. Okay. Second is the appointment of the superintendent. A resolution is requested approving the appointment of Michael Volpe as the superintendent of schools effective December 18th, 2021. So moved. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay. So now I would like to say a few words before we vote on it, just to give everyone the perspective that Mr. Volpe, who is here with us today, has been a New Jersey educator for 25 years and is currently the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Community Relations, and Public Information at Princeton Public Schools. Before that, he was Director of Human Resources at Hillsborough Township Public Schools. He has also served as an elementary school principal in Hillsborough and Florham Park, and as high school vice principal in Woodbridge Township. In addition, Mr. Volpe has taught at both the middle school and high school level and served as an English department chair. Some of Mr. Volpe's accomplishments include developing programs to focus on character education and service learning, using data to identify areas of weakness in student achievement and improve student performance, and advancing technological instruction to better prepare students for 21st century learning as well as 21st century jobs. He is also committed to diversity and inclusion, and recently he developed the FACE Forward program in Princeton, a mentorship program to help build future educational leaders of color. In addition, peers selected Mr. Volpe from 41 school districts to chair the legislative committee of CJ Pride, which is the Central Jersey program for recruitment of diverse educators. Mr. Volpe was selected from an exceptional pool of outstanding educational leaders as the right leader to support our district as we continue to excel and reach the next level of excellence for all of our students. Michael Volpe has held numerous leadership roles in high-performing districts, and as we look to the future, we believe Mr. Volpe will provide thoughtful, dynamic, and innovative leadership. That is my background. We are excited. We worked hard, I thank all board members on the extensive work and the community for giving us the desired leadership characteristics that we were looking for. So if anyone else has any comments before we vote. Okay, do we need a roll?
Well, I mean, I feel like this is a momentous occasion, right? Super,
Well, we have to wait for the vote, but.
Well, it's a momentous vote.
Yes.
But, you know, thank you, Dr. Fitz, for everything that you've done in this short time. And I know we still have great fortune to have you for at least the next couple of months, but truly, thank you. And I am very excited to have Mr. Volpe come on board with us. You know, I can't lay out all his credentials as articulately as Karen did, but I think it's an exciting time. It's an interesting time, and really looking forward to moving forward with Mr. Volpe.
With his wife here today, so. Thank you for being here. We do have to have the official vote, but thank you, Mark, for your comments. That means a lot. I know we all, I thought this was a really important process for us to go through. I think we all we come with different perspectives, obviously. We all felt Mr. Volpe was right for our district, coming from different places where we all come from. And I do want to echo, Dr. Fitz, you have been wonderful, and we so appreciate, we brought you here to heal the community and work with us. and you jumped right in, and you definitely did that. So thank you for being here. And I know you will be helping us in the transitional piece as well. So that's about it, unless anyone else has anything to say. We need.
I just wanted not to be redundant, but to echo the process and to appreciate that, to a person, every one of the board members really weighed in, and we had really great conversations that, from my perspective, were more than just selecting the successful candidate, but I think we actually had an insight into working together and getting behind some common priorities and initiatives, and I appreciate everybody's participation.
Yes, it was a very long process, but it was a great process to see the board work together. And we're excited at the outcome, and we're hoping for a lot of success. So do we need a roll call vote for this, James?
We do.
I believe we probably do.
We do. Dr. Alberti,
Yes.
Mr. Fairchild,
Yes.
Mrs. Mullen, Dr. Snyder, Mr. Villanueva, Mr. Weeks, Mr. Weinstein,
Yes.
Mr. Romano, Mrs. Shaw.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to Mr. Vickery. Now you have an experience of what one of these board meetings are. I'm sure coming from Princeton, you have similar ones. So thank you for being here tonight too. It means a lot to our district. So we are excited to begin working with you. Just from a timing perspective, we're thinking what it said here, December 18th, I believe, would be your start date with us. So that's soon. So congratulations. We're excited to have you. And hopefully you will start to feel a part of us. And thank you for agreeing to come here and be our next superintendent. So on to suspensions. Is that what we're up to? Not a great way to follow that, but. Okay. And then information only, we have the enrollment information there, October 1st. Any old business? No, any new business? Okay. We can open the floor now. A motion is requested to open the floor for public comment. Thank you. Second. Did someone second? Okay, thanks. Sorry. All in favor? Aye. So if anyone has public comment, feel free to come to the mic, state your name and address.
Hi, Jill Fallows Macaluso at 800 Golfview. I wasn't going to public comment, but I feel compelled to join in the joy to thank Dr. Fitz for his service on behalf of the parent community. I've been an advocate for increased in-person learning over the past year, but I have heard from so many in the parent community about the wonderful job, and I myself have observed it as well, Dr. Fitz, that you've done over the past couple of months. Like Mark said, you've been a true leader. And I mean, from the minute you walked through the door, it was very clear that you had a great understanding of the roles and responsibilities of the board versus the superintendent and the administration. And I love the way that you refer to them as your executive team. You followed me and some other folks out into the parking lot at the last Board of Education meeting just to chat with us and thank us for coming. So thanks for all that you've done. We're going to miss you, but we look forward to the next chapter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Mike Volpe, 104 Perrine Pike, Hillsborough, New Jersey. I don't live in Morristown. I just want to say how absolutely thrilled and excited and humbled I am to have been named the next superintendent of the Morristown Township Public Schools. And Dr. Fitz, I want to thank you so much for what you had said about getting around to teachers' classrooms and in schools, because you're really making my transition easy. That's not going to be new for anybody else. I love getting around and seeing what kids are doing. I did want to just say a couple of thank yous if I can. I want to thank my nephew, Jake Douglas Chonka, who had he survived, would have been multiply disabled, and his memory inspires me to serve all children, not just our highest achievers, but I'm here for every single child. I want to thank my own children, Zach, Alyssa, Lauren, and Izzy. for inspiring me. And I want to thank my wife very much. I love you. And thank you for getting me here today. And I don't mean that literally because I drove. I mean that more figuratively for getting me to where I am. I say that because I want to let you know how important family is to me. Family comes first. And I feel in this room that you have invited me to become a part of your family, part of your community. And that's where I want to be. And I want to thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. I said that in some of my paperwork that I put forth to the board during the interview process, that Morristown is a diamond. It needs to, some polishing a little bit here and there, but it doesn't need to be turned into a ruby or a sapphire or an emerald. It's a diamond. And I am thrilled that you have invited me to become a part of this community, a part of this family. I'm thrilled, and I won't let you down. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mike.
I too did not have intentions of speaking tonight, but after the way the second dawn was treated, I felt compelled to come up. Many of us are aware of the personal and professional legal issues facing Mr. Comegno, our board attorney, in conjunction with his law firm. The allegations include Mr. Comegno providing illegal gifts to superintendents and board members, among many other serious allegations. Given Mr. Comegno's position here at the table, I think the general public would be interested in hearing when an RFP will be issued to replace him and his role as board attorney will end.
Any other comments?
Hi, Karen Vidal, 441 Oldershaw Avenue. I'm actually here to talk to you tonight about consent. I'm here to talk about consent and some things that have been going on in schools. And it's been going on for a while. And I think I just hit my breaking point this year. And I can start with a laugh. I have curly hair. Every time you go for picture day, when you have curly hair, your mom teaches you, don't let anybody touch your hair. Don't let anyone touch your hair. And I can laugh about it now. It's not funny though. And I learned to laugh at it as a coping mechanism. And it's not funny. And I'm lucky that, I'm white. I'm not a person of color with somebody trying to come at me with my hair. So I taught this to my child with curly hair. And then finally he's like, Mom, no one at South Valley tries to touch my hair. So I'm really disturbed to tell you that this year at Picture Day, multiple children in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade were touched without their consent during Picture Day. Now that's fine that Home and School says, oh, the mom was just trying to help them. It's not okay. You do not touch a child, a 4th, 5th, or 6th grader without asking them. I don't care if my child's hair is standing up. I don't care if their eyes are closed. I don't care anything else. But the precedent that was set at the UES is very disturbing to me. And it's not just my child. It's the child whose beautiful picture was shown that had her hair completely brushed out with all of her curls. And I remember what that feels like. And I remember how painful it is. And it's so easy. And instead, when you go to administration and they say, oh, well, Home and School did it. And Home and School goes, oh, well, I'm sure it was a mom with well intentions. And you're probably right. It probably was a mom with well intentions. But we've come to a point in this day and age that I'm 45 and we're still having to talk to people about touching a child before a picture because it's really easy to get consent. Hi, would you like to look at yourself in the mirror beforehand? That's it. When you come at a child, I'm just going to fix your hair. That's not consent. A child, when faced in a trauma, which would be somebody coming at them that they don't know how to react, they could fight, they could freeze, they could flight, and they could fawn. So my child that freezes had their hair brushed because they don't know what to do. The child with curly hair who actually didn't know what to do, and she's a people pleaser. And so she brushed her hair out painfully. And I can see it by looking at those pictures. So again, I understand that this was not meant with malice, But the next thing is then when you go and you call somebody and they tell you that they can counsel my child, you're reinforcing that bad feeling that they got in their gut that they did something wrong and they were the one to shame. And now if you don't address it to all of the kids, they think that it's okay that that adult came over and that adult imposed their will and their power. And I'm sorry, I'm at 3 minutes, but I appreciate the time of the board. And again, I realize it was not done without malice, but it's a serious problem. And please come up with some corrective action, not to pull them aside separately, but to address it as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Anthony Dragan, 547 Eagle Brook Drive. I wasn't going to speak tonight as well, but I felt compelled to also give my thanks to Dr. Fitz. I just wanted to say that looking from the outside in and getting involved over the course of the last year in terms of public comment with administration and the frustrations that were brought up, I didn't really feel tremendously listened to before, but I have to say, you have been a consummate professional and the model of a gentleman. You took this community as your own, and I really want to thank you for that on behalf of a lot of parents who couldn't be here tonight, including my wife. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Any other comments?
Elizabeth Pollard, 64 Brooks Road. I'll be brief. It's difficult to listen to comments that reference segregation and Nazi Germany and compare such horrific historical events to public health policies that serve only to protect the welfare of our schools and greater community. It's also appalling and inappropriate to call out members of the board and those who serve our district by name. It serves no good. It's only to insult and offend. And that's it.
Any other comments? Motion to close public comment? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Motion to adjourn. Thank you. Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you so much.